Hello and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is Jabbed and today we're going to be doing a rate your team style of video. Now I have loads of applications in for this, so I was unable to quite get through everybody. However, if this is something you like and you want your teams to get rated, don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment down below if this is what you want to see again, and obviously hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and let's get straight into it. Right, so the first team here is brought to us by Pepper Pig. Now we've got Ryan in net, Kyle Walker-Peters, the main man Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the three in the midfield, that base three of Son, Salah and Aubameyang. So the comments we have for this team is that this person is planning to bring in Martial for Che Adams. I think probably around game week 2. Then Rashford will come in for Song, and likely De Bruyne will come in for Aubameyang. Now this kind of makes me think that this guy has a lot of money in the bank. So if Che Adams is going to Martial, you have to have at least 3 mil in the bank, which means that probably Che Adams is likely to be a 1 week punt. If Che Adams is a 1 week punt, then I'd like to maybe see Antonio in there as well. Werner I really like as well. Saka I'm a little bit unsure about. We don't really know whether he's going to start with Willian coming in. For 5.5 mil, if that was say Maximan or Armstrong, I really do like that. I prefer McCarthy over Ryan. However, I completely understand this person's thinking, because Kyle Walker-Peters and McCarthy, the double up on Southampton, or even potential triple up on Southampton here, could be a little bit too much. So Ryan and Kyle Walker-Peters, a decent little pairing. And of course, you've got Vinagre and Justin as well, finishing it off. I'm more prone to go to Thomas, because I think Thomas will play for longer than Justin, but obviously we know Justin will get that right back slot. So what's the rating of this team? So for this team, I've gone for a 7.5. It's got the base players in there. It's got everyone you need to do well. However, Saka and Che Adams, I'm a little bit unsure about. And also, there's not really much rotation from the bench. The likes of Bruce, so you're kind of relying on him to get a transfer away. Taylor could be okay, and Reed is just going to be a complete dud. So really, when a couple of your players have bad fixtures, you'll have to play them through them. I mean, even in the second game week, Kyle Walker-Peters has Spurs, Justin has City. I mean, what are you going to be doing for that second game week, I'd ask? And then Saka and Adams as well. I'm a bit unsure, but yeah, 7.5, a very solid team. So the next team here is brought to us by Human Tiga Saka. We see this kind of standard base at the back. We see Trent, we see Vinagre, we see McCarthy. A lot of people are building their teams around these three guys at the back. We also see Davies at the back, a nice little Spurs asset. And then through the midfield, it gets a bit more interesting. Now we see Pereira from West Brom, Sander Berge from Sheffield United. That's an interesting pick, not really for me personally. Aubameyang and Salah, of course. And then the big three up front, Mitrovic, Werner and Kane. I really want Kane on my team. I don't know if I'm able to get him in though. And then on the bench, we see the likes of Ayling, Basuma and Johnson. I'm not really sure about this bench. It doesn't really provide any kind of rotation. Ayling, for me, you're just going to be, you're relying, especially with those fixtures, on attacking returns for a player who we've not even really seen in the Premier League before, and a team that we don't even know is going to defend that well. So in terms of rating for this team, I've gone with a 7 out of 10, just because Sander Berge and Pereira a little bit too out there for me, and there's not too much rotation in this team to provide, when players do have bad fixtures. I really do like the top three though. I like what you've done there. However, if you changed, Pereira and Berge around a little bit, even Armstrong and St. Maximan, you'll be able to do that. I would much prefer this team, and you can easily push it up into sort of 8.5 out of 10. Yep, decent little draft. So our next team is brought to us by Tim Hitcher. I very much do like the look of this team. We've got Ryan in net. We've got two Liverpool defenders at the back with Trent and Robertson. For me, that always does boost the team if we're able to get both of them in there. Both basically, players, midfielders, and get more points than a lot of sort of that price range of midfielders. Then we've got Vinagre and Doherty as well. A lot of people saying Doherty could potentially be a must. He's very, very good. And this guy's gone for a lot of money in the back line as well. Then we also see Salah, Aubameyang, Dele Alli and St. Maximan. Decent little midfield here. I personally would prefer the combination of Davies and Son. I think Son will do much better than Dele Alli. But you never know, Doherty could do a lot better than Davies, so that could definitely be the pairing. Then we also see Werner and Che Adams. As I said previously, I'm not too sure about Che Adams. A lot of people going with Timo Werner, and rightfully so. He looks like he's going to be a very, very good player this season. And on the bench, we see the likes of Charlie Taylor. We see Davies in there as sort of just, a 4.5 dud, and Basuma as well. So the comments we have from this guy is that they are planning to change from Timo Werner to Martial after game week 1, and Aubameyang to De Bruyne. They also note that they know St. Maximan isn't, too great of an option after game week 2, so he will only be there for those 2 game weeks and need changing. However, I do very much like this team, and as I said, if this team had Davies and Son, I'd like it even more. However, I do very much like it, and for that reason, I'm going for an 8 out of 10. It's got a very nice base. It's got good defensive, good midfield, and good attacking options across the board. If you have McCarthy in there as well, I think this would be a superb draft, pushing up to a sort of 9 out of 10 potentially. So he's going for Ryan and McCarthy in there. For me personally, I prefer sort of either just pick one of them and go with a formal goalkeeper. It'll allow you to sort of free up another 0.5 mil that you could potentially use, say, on their Souček. Souček for me is not actually that great of an option at the minute. You know, he's got 1 good game week. And then if you're going to rotate him in, he's just got really, really bad fixtures up until about game week 8. So if you can find that 0.5 from either McCarthy or Ryan, you can change that player. You could change Souček to potentially Saint Maximin, who for me is a much better option. Then we also see, you know, Trent, Dallas, Doherty, Walker Peters, Mitchell looking like a pretty decent option. Looks like he's going to start for Palace for the start of the season. As soon as Van Aanholt gets back, Van Aanholt will be in that team. Now up front, we see Martial, Calvert-Lewin and Werner. The first person I've seen have Calvert-Lewin in all the drafts I've been looking at. He could be okay. If he finds some form like he did last season, the 7 mil for him could actually be quite a bit of a bargain. 9.5 mil on your bench for the first game week is a lot. However, it does save a transfer, so it's ifs and buts and roundabouts, I guess. But then we move on to the midfield, and we've got Aubameyang, Salah, of course. Everyone going with Aubameyang and Salah, and Armstrong in there as well with Souček and Bissouma. I'm assuming for the first game week we're looking at sort of a Doherty, Kyle Walker-Peters, Mitchell, Trent, Aubameyang, Salah, potentially Souček, Armstrong, Werner and Calvert-Lewin. It's not too bad of a first team. However, I feel like a few improvements definitely could be made. So the comments this guy's made is that they are planning on changing Aubameyang or Salah to De Bruyne at some point. A very, very solid move. So what ratings does this team get? I mean, you've got the base in there of all these players. However, you know, you've got the base in there with all these players, and it looks like you'll have a decent amount of rotation in there as well. I'd much prefer, as I said, if you pick 1 goalkeeper, upgrade Souček, and Dallas isn't really for me. I don't think he's going to be that great. However, overall, not too bad of a team. I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10. The next team is brought to us by Pacowitz. Thank you for submitting your team. Now, the first thing that sort of jumps out at you is there is no Trent. However, I do like what this guy's done. It's something a little bit different, a little bit spicy, and the attack, the midfield, the defence, all looks very, very good and well structured. Now, in goal, we start with McCarthy, Doherty, Egan, Justin moving to the midfield of Salah, Aubameyang, Armstrong, Son, very nice midfield, and then Mitrovic, Ings, and Timo Werner. Oh, that is a lovely attack. So this person had a lot to say, so I've kind of condensed it down a little bit. Now, they had a little paragraph in there saying that they know that, you know, Trent is a must, and potentially they might still be bringing in Trent for game week 1. However, you know, the first 3 game weeks, Liverpool have tough fixtures and they didn't look particularly good defensively towards the end of last season and the pre-season, and I completely understand that. However, if we look to last season, you know, when Trent got his big hauls, it was against the likes of Leicester, against the likes of Chelsea, the teams you weren't expecting him to do really well against, he did, and it could definitely punish you. However, you know, I do rate the kind of out-the-box thinking of potentially you could go without him for a few game weeks. So this person has said that they're planning on a wildcarding in game week 8, very similar to my strategy actually, and they're planning on bringing Martial after game week 1 or 2, leaving them 0.5 in the bank to sort of make some changes around, and that they also plan on bringing another Wolves defender in at some point, maybe Egan to Saiz, as they will only be keeping Egan up until game week 5, when sort of Sheffield's fixtures start to get quite bad. You can really play Sheffield, the United defenders, or Ramsdale in goal up to about game week 5, as they only have 1 bad fixture up until then. And yeah, look, I mean, for me, this is a very nice team. A decent bit of rotation in there. Only Anguissa is an unplayable player. Mitchell and Vinagre provide a nice little bit of rotation. So for that reason, I do actually really like the team. I rate the out-of-the-box thinking with no Trent. So for this reason, I'm going to give this team an 8.5. If it had Trent in there, it could easily be a 9.5 team. Also, the triple up on Southampton players is a little bit too brave for my liking, but overall, a very nice team. So the next team is brought to us by Shaker Maker. Of course, we've got the standard sort of defenders, Vinagre, Walker Peters, Justin. No Trent in there. there, which is massive as well. But also Perez, Keita. I'm really not sure about Perez and Keita. Although the comments we have from this guy is that he's keeping an eye on the situation at Liverpool. If they get rid of one of them, if Henderson is still injured, then obviously Keita will get more game time. And for 5.5 million, a Liverpool defender or midfielder, isn't that bad. Obviously, I would prefer that to be Henderson. I'd even more prefer that to be the likes of Alan St. Maximin or Armstrong. I think those two are much better options. Perez, particularly for me, I really don't like. I feel like if you're going to go for a Leicester player, you either got to try and get in Maddison or Barnes. I feel like they're more likely to get game time. Obviously, Maddison is still injured at the minute, which means that I think Barnes is definitely the Leicester one you go for. For me, if you change Keita to maybe Armstrong and St. Maximin, and Perez, if you find a way of maybe drop Souček down 0.5 mil, because realistically, if you're not playing Souček for that first game week, you're not going to be playing him for the future 8 game weeks. Because he's got really bad fixtures. That'll give you 0.5 to move Perez up to someone like Harvey Barnes. And also for me, try and find a way to get Trent in there. Kane, Werner and Ings are very nice up front. And sort of that's a sacrifice you're making, I guess, with not having Trent in there. But for me, maybe keep Kane and Werner, go Ings to Trent, or find a way of going Ings to Trent. Maybe just go Ings down to Davis and Dallas to Trent. I think this team will be much better, and that would also leave you another mil to upgrade, say Perez to like someone like Ziyech, and then Keita to someone like St. Maximin, and all of a sudden this is a great team. This person also talks about the potential of going Traore, Son and Davies instead of Keita, Souček and Kane. It's not too bad, I like the fact that you're focusing on Spurs and trying to get a Spurs asset on there. You have to watch with Traore though. He's currently quarantined and may not be starting this season. So definitely one to watch out for. And at 6.5 million, with the fact that we don't really know who's going to play, probably one to steer clear of as well. So what am I going to rate this team? I'll put this team as a nice solid 7 out of 10. It's got a decent structure in there, however, with no Trent, Perez and Keita, kind of bring the team down a little bit. So the next team is brought to us by Jerome Bennett. We see McCarthy in goal with Nyland. That lovely little pairing. That's the pairing I like to see. Unfortunately, for all of us who have Nyland, Aston Villa have just bought a new goalkeeper, so that kind of the plan to bring him in for say game week 2 won't be happening. Then we also see the likes of Vernaga, Trent, Doherty and Mitchell, a very nice sort of looking backline. This guy's on very cheap in the backline with 2-4 mil defenders. Then we see Aubameyang, Fernandes, St. Maximin and Son in the midfield. No Salah for me is a little bit too brave. If you're planning on bringing Fernandes instead of Salah, maybe find a way of starting Salah and then transferring in Fernandes, because it's easier to bring Fernandes in for Salah than it is to bring Salah in for Fernandes, and in that first game week, I think we're going to lose out plenty of points from everyone who's captaining Salah. But also we see a very strong front three of Mitrovic, Werner and Danny Ings as well. Very nice. The Werner and Mitrovic combination I really like. I think those two are going to be pretty stud throughout the start of this season. So for me, I was potentially going to rate this team a 7.5 out of 10. However, the fact that there's no Salah, and I think you're going to be punished heavily for that. I do really like the double Spurs you've got there, the Doherty, Son, that's a very nice combination. And Danny Ings, Werner and Mitrovic are likely to perform very well. However, just because there's no Salah in there, I think I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. If you can find a way of getting Salah in there for Hernandez, just from that move, this could easily go up to an 8.5, 9 kind of a team if you sort that little problem out there. But yeah, thank you for the submission. A very nice little team. So the next submission comes from 42011. Thank you for your submission. Now we've got the standard sort of 4 at the back: McCarthy, Trent, Justin, Vernaga. Very well played, sir. Then we've got Salah, Aubameyang, Son. I like that a lot. Souček, a little bit unsure about. But Mitrovic, Ings and Werner, another very good front three. The only thing I'd really say about this team is, because you've got Souček in that, are you planning on playing him for all sort of 8 game weeks? Like, for me, I don't particularly like that. He's got a good game week 1, but then you have to get him out pretty much straight away. You don't really want to be playing Souček, into the near future, and it doesn't particularly look like you've got much of a plan to take out Souček. But other than that, this is a very nice team. So the comments that this person has made is they've got 0.5 in the bank. So maybe Werner will go to Martial after game week 1. Game week 2, we'll be looking at Aubameyang to De Bruyne. And game week 3, we'll be looking at Son to Bruno. Now, obviously, this guy said that it's very risky, and it also depends on price changes, which is a big thing in this game. even if a player gets an increase of 0.1 in their price, it could leave you 0.1 short to be able to bring them in. So, you know, Werner to Martial is an easy transfer. Aubameyang to De Bruyne was also an easy transfer because both of these players are cheaper than Werner and Aubameyang. However, the Bruno Fernandes transfer obviously will be the one that may be hard to get in, dependent on price rises. I do like this team though. It's got a nice little base. Souček probably the only thing to really sort out in this team. If you can find 0.5 from somewhere, or just, you know, you've got that 0.5 in the bank. For me, that 0.5 in the bank is better spent on upgrading Souček to Armstrong, because he'll be a much better differential throughout, or just going Souček to St. Maximin if you don't want the triple up on Southampton. So I do really like this team, however, and therefore I'm going to be going with an 8 out of 10 for this team. Next we have a submission from Balboa Boggins. Thank you very much for your submission. This is a very interesting team here with no Salah, no Trent. We've got the triple up on Spurs and the triple up on Everton. That is extremely brave. Now unfortunately we were unable to get some comments from this guy. The rotation doesn't look very good either. We've got McCarthy in there. Oh, we have got Trent in there. Sorry, we've got Doherty as well. The triple up on Everton and Spurs, however, facing each other in the first game week is not looking good. And Azpilicueta could be okay. However, this team, you know, it's got a lot of fixing to do, I'd say. And Andreas Towns in there. I mean, I'm a Palace fan myself, so I appreciate the support and the love for Palace. However, I don't think he's the best FPL asset. And for that reason, I'm going to be giving this team a rating of 5.5 out of 10. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.